I'm Peggy Brown. I'm the owner of Generation Senior Moving, and I'm here today at the Overture, and we're going to talk about ways you can live a big life in a small space. The Overture is a beautiful place to bring your life, but I know many people who are looking to make such a move have accumulated a lot of possessions over their lifetime, and one of the most overwhelming duties that they have before determining to lease an apartment is, how do I take my whole life of 55 plus years and fit it into a smaller space? I'm here to tell you today that that can be done, and when it's all said and done, it really is very freeing. So let's talk about taking your life, fitting it into a smaller space. Outer order contributes to inner calm. Isn't that true for everyone? When we live around clutter, maybe it's just the clutter on my desk, it's stressful. Or the clutter in my kitchen before the end of the day when I get it cleaned up, it's stressful. So we all kind of strive for that inner calm. And a good time to make the resolution to get rid of some of that stress is when you are downsizing and making a change of resident. So here's some facts. I know this is a little detailed, but basically some of the things that it tells you is the average pounds per person that we consume every day. 220 pounds per person. Can you believe that? So we're huge consumers of stuff, of things. Americans spend $1.2 trillion annually on non-essential goods. There's some other facts here, but I think if you will drive out of your driveway and merely look at the number of storage facilities that are going up all over the place, you will see that that's a huge industry. And why is that? Because people like us hold on to the things we have and spend millions of dollars every year because we can't part with those things, and they end up in storage where we can't use them anyway, and we're paying lots of money to store. So here's some reasons to declutter. I've tried to find a better word, but truly it is how to downsize and take the things you have and put order to it. And in most cases, that means decluttering. So it saves time. If you have lots of clutter, even in your clothes closet, it saves you time to have order in that closet so you can find the right garment that you're looking for or the right pair of shoes without digging through all of that. Or in your office, another good example. You're looking for an important document. If there's a pile of paper on your desk, like there sometimes is on mine, I spend a lot of time just looking for the thing that I need to find, and it's usually at the bottom of the pile. It saves you money. A lot of times we buy duplicates of things because we can't find where we squirreled away all of those paper towels or toilet paper or hand wipes or whatever it is these days, or the pair of high-heeled black shoes that I want to wear to the wedding. I know they're somewhere in the back of my closet, but if I can't find them, I'm likely to go buy another pair of shoes. It just helps us get better organized, and that is so true in areas such as important documents, and we'll talk about that a little bit. It's stressful to need something. You're going to the bank, you're opening a new account, you're coming to live at the Overture, and you need some financial documents. It's very stressful to know that you have those things, but you can't put your fingers on them, and so you spend time and you are stressed because you're looking for that item. Less stress, we just talked about that. Also, it's more inviting. Maybe you're like me. Currently, I have a project on my dining room table. So if I'm gonna have family over or a friend over to come have dinner with me, I gotta clear off my whole project off that dining room table. So I'm not likely to have friends over because I've got to move my project. We use our dining room tables for lots of things, but we want to make a home that we are encouraged to show off and bring our friends in when possible. it's just refreshing. That kind of goes back to living in a less stressful environment. I know when I do a clean sweep through the house and clean my bathroom and mop down my floors and clean the dog hairs from behind the doors, it's just a refreshing moment that I get to enjoy the house. You know, those kind of things don't stay that way. But it is easier to maintain order once you've spent the time to create it. And it allows you to appreciate what you have. So many times I have thought I needed something and put off buying it only to go home and go, you know, I already had one of those. I'm sure glad I didn't spend the money. But I see a lot of duplication of things, whether it's clothes or kitchen appliances. I bake very rarely, but every time I think, oh, I'm going to bake a layer cake, I have to think, now, did I keep those layer pans? And then I have to dig through my cabinets to find them. Sometimes I'm like, yeah, I'm at the grocery store, I'll just buy new layer pans. And then what happens? I go home and I've got 6 of them that I don't need. So just, you appreciate what you have and you don't spend money on duplicates. And honestly, at the end of the day, it allows you to focus on the things that are important. We live our lives, most of us, around social life and family and friends and the adventure of doing things, particularly at this age, particularly people that are looking to move to a place like the Overture where there is something going on every day. You're not moving to a place like this to sit in your apartment and look at, oh, my beautiful lamps and look at my beautiful chairs. Certainly you want an appealing place to live, but you're moving here for a new social life. So focus on your lifestyle, living big, and not on the things you have. Again, here's some reasons to downsize and declutter your house. Maybe at this stage in our life, and I'm talking to those of us who are of an appropriate age for the Overture, 55 plus, maybe we've lived in a house for 5 years, maybe 20 years, maybe 50 years, and the property where we once raised our children, where we once enjoyed taking care of the yard or a big garden, the property's just become too large, and so we're looking at a way to downsize. Maybe we want to reduce our day-to-day living costs. And here would be a place that I would challenge you to look at the expenses you currently have side by side with the expenses of living in a 55 plus like Overture. You may say, my house is paid for. Why should I spend this kind of outlay? When you truly lay out the cost of maintenance and taxes and so forth against rent, I think you will find that they compare very favorably, and it doesn't in the long run help you reduce cost. Maybe you want to sell your biggest asset, your home, and you want to fund retirement. Maybe you want to help your kids or grandkids out and help fund their college or pay off college loans. Maybe you want to use the funds for selling your home to pay off some debt. Maybe you want to buy a second property abroad. How about that? Maybe abroad just means down at the coast of Texas, but freeing yourself of a big property often gives you that opportunity. Maybe you just want to live more simply and have a smaller environmental impact by moving out of a big property that takes a lot of energy to run into a place like this where you have less worries and put less energy into living your life, but you also have a simpler life, and you truly are creating less of an environmental impact by living small. So before we conclude, let me just give you a few downsizing tips. I have learned these over time as I have worked with over 3,000 clients who have moved from a larger house into a 1 or a 2 bedroom apartment. When you are starting the downsizing process, don't start with complicated, sentimental categories like photos. You're going to give up pretty quick if you start with in the harder areas. And I will say you get better at decluttering and downsizing the more you do. So put the pictures aside. Now, you might start with papers because you may have to find some important documents to sell your home or financial documents to move. So there are some papers you're going to have to look for. Choose a category that's easy to handle that you know you have too many of. I know I have 6 wine bottle openers. I have 2 that are my favorite that work every time. So I could start in that easy category and pare my wine bottle openers down to 2 and I'd be good to go. Then move on to another category. Maybe in the kitchen you have some favorite knives. Well, I have a whole drawer full of knives and I use two knives out of my drawer. So I can go there where I know there are things that I don't use. All things have a place of their own. So that makes it easier to maintain order. And here's an example. Shoe racks in your closet. I once had a pile of shoes in the bottom of my closet. And my son got married. I needed some neutral colored shoes. I didn't want to go to the trouble or didn't think I had those shoes. And so I went and bought a new pair. And a couple of months ago, when I decided to organize my shoes, I found not 1, not 2, but 2 pairs of neutral shoes that I could have used. If I had done what I did recently and put all of those shoes on shoe racks where I could easily see them, then I would know that I can go and pick out my shoes for the day. And when I get back home, there's an empty spot in my shoe rack for me to put those shoes right back onto instead of throwing them into the pile in the closet. That ruins them and causes me to duplicate what I have. So maintaining order is easier when everything has a place of its own, whether it's shoes or things in your kitchen or things in your garage. And it's easier to see not only what you have, but what you may be missing. If you can't keep track of things, you probably have too many. My shoes were an example. I had too many shoes that I couldn't get to easily and spent too much time or not enough time looking for them. So I just went and bought another pair. And then I found out, well, now I have 3 of those shoes that I have to find a place for. So I could do with less. And we're all like that, whether it's clothes or tools or kitchenware. You know, sometimes we just have too much to keep up with. If you don't like something, get rid of it. I love my daughter-in-law, but if she gives me something ugly, I'm going to try and not feel obligated to put it out when she visits from out of state because I don't want her to buy me another one, right? So life is too short to live with something that you don't adore, particularly if you're living in a small space. If you don't like something, you can give it away. I seriously doubt my daughter-in-law has a list of what she's given me in the past, and she's going to be looking if I still have those. There are some things you can't get rid of, and we've got to find storage space for, right? So we have sentimental boxes of letters. I have a stuffed animal or 2 that belong to my kids. They don't want those stuffed toys. They're probably not in any kind of shape to pass along to the grandkids, but they're sweet to me. And so I have a place in my closet where I put them up. I can see them when I go into the closet. That's an important thing for me. Gives me just a little whiff of a fun memory from my kids' childhood. They don't take up a lot of space, and I'm not likely to get rid of those anytime soon. And I don't have to explain that to anyone. Lastly, if you are thinking about moving into a smaller space, I would recommend you don't buy in bulk. So I live in a small house, and I ordered curbside yesterday at H-E-B, and I only wanted 2 rolls of paper towels, but the only quantity they had the paper towels in was 6 rolls. So I had to take 6 rolls of paper towel. I had to find a place under my sink to put those, and I think I ended up putting them into the garage for now. So my advice is, if you are moving to a smaller space and you know there is going to be less storage space, which there typically is, don't go to Sam's and don't go to Costco and buy 72 rolls of toilet paper or paper towels. You can go back there and you can go use curbside for pickup. So just think of, you got to switch your mind, right, to think about living in smaller spaces and enjoying the smaller space. And when it's all said and done, you're not saving that much money by buying in bulk anyway. Okay, we'll stop there, and we'll pick up with a little more detail about downsizing next time I see you.